A forgotten artifact lies in pieces on a planet far from Earth. Few know it exists except those who took it back and those whose ancestors created it. 4 young people are thrown into a race against emissaries of the gods to find his pieces. Mistrust, greed, and magic are tangled in an endless web. What will the fate be of the universe once it is found and reassembled? Get Scepter of the Gods, The Rod of Truth now on Amazon, and get wrapped up in the saga that will not let you go.
Good morning and welcome to the Motivational Devotional, where we are merging motivation and spirituality to create a daily dose of confident positivity. I hope that this morning's podcast will help you to be more spiritually and positively motivated so that you can transform your day. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining me today at the Motivational Devotional. I am Mark the Writer, and today is the 13th episode of our series, 50 Ways to Love Your Soul. I hope you've been able to follow along with the series and are finding it helpful in getting your new year going in the direction of your lifelong goals. If you know anyone who could use some encouragement in setting goals, then please share this podcast or share the blog version from motivational-devotional.com. So, you would think this would be one of the easiest pieces to write, talking about loving your flaws. I know I have plenty, and anyone listening to this would likely say the same. However, there is a conundrum here, a bit of a paradox, so to speak. I talk and teach all the time about focusing on one's strengths and applying relentless intent toward one's lifelong dreams and not getting caught up in the minutiae of how things are now. Well, where are our flaws? They are with us right here, right now. And so if we love and accept them, then we are putting our attention back on the minutiae of the little things of right now. Aren't we? So, that's why this is a more challenging set of ideas to string together today. We here on this side of the planet tend to think in either black or white, either or, and absolutes. Our friends across the way and in most of the areas on the other side of the planet are more geared to living in ambiguity and to have seemingly contradictory concepts together in a common thing where they are both true, and yet my Western brain tries to say that's impossible. And so, rather than trying to figure out where this thought flow is going to go, I am relaxing my tired brain, throwing it into gear with my hands off the wheel and letting it coast forward as it will. Oh, except that I still have in mind that this is about loving our flaws. I'm not going to list all of mine for you right now for a couple of reasons. The first is, why should I bring flaws to other people's attention when they probably haven't noticed them in the first place? That is true, Consider just a couple of the flaws that you probably know about yourself. The odds are highly likely that most of them are completely unobservable to anyone else. Why would I want to color other people's impression of me if it isn't necessary? Again, I'm not going into my own, but I'm just trying to imagine something unobservable. Let's say that you have a wart on a toe. Nobody can see that. It might hurt when you walk around, but you're the only person aware of it for the moment. You wouldn't just go up to people and start telling them about the wart on your toe, would you? Didn't think so. Some people are very open about all their flaws, like telling all their coworkers how they can't balance a checkbook and bounce checks left and right all the time. Or they tell everyone that they can't keep a secret. Now there's one you might rather keep a secret, right? Anyway, when it comes to your flaws, maybe it's best to keep people on a need-to-know basis. Unless, of course, one of your flaws is that you can't keep things to yourself, in which case, then it's kind of obvious. The second reason I'm not going to list all of my flaws for you in this podcast is because, honestly, I don't pay attention to most of them. The ones I do pay attention to are things that I want to change about myself, and so I am more focused on how I want things to be, rather than focusing on what is wrong or what I don't like. I have learned that I can't improve a negative thing by being negatively focused. I can't fix a negative with a negative. It's like, well, let's say a person has a New Year's resolution, or even just at any time of year short-term goal to quit smoking. One reason people fail with this is because you can't quit smoking by trying to not smoke. All that does is make you want to smoke. You're thinking about it. You get the urge to have a cigarette and you say, nope, not going to smoke, not smoking, no, well, maybe okay just for one for now. I quit smoking a lot of years ago, and that was after trying for maybe 200 times. And what I did was I recognized one morning how I smelled, how my clothes smelled, how my mustache smelled, and how I had a pile of nasty, ashy butts in a dish on my coffee table as if I scooped out some of the fireplace and put it right where I had to look at it all the time. I curled up my lip and I said to myself that I don't want to smell that way and I don't want to look at that. And so from that point forward, anytime I considered lighting one up, I held in mind how clean I felt and how clean my house was and how much better I liked the way that the air smelled. That was what I wanted, and I recognized, even back before I understood most of the things I talk about on the Motivational Devotional, that focusing on what I do want instead of focusing on what I don't want is absolutely what will get me what I want. By the way, I haven't touched one since sometime in 1987. So that's the second reason. But there is also another reason why I won't share all my flaws with everyone right now or at any other time, and that is that once I tell someone about my flaws, that's what they know and that's what they remember. Then, as I continue growing and working on myself, I eventually change them, but they don't know that. Let's say with one or two of your flaws, you work on what you want instead of your flaws, and you finally figure it out and you work it out, and those things are no longer any part of your life. But then people who knew those things about you have a tendency to keep you stuck where you were because those were part of who they thought you were. Other people don't have the tendency to follow you along on your journey as well as you do. It's not their journey. So I have found that it is best to not hand someone something that isn't part of their journey unless they are one of my partners in working through my own. I would like to say that's it. We're done talking about this. But there is one more thing I think is really important, and that is similar to yesterday in what I said about loving your body. For a lot of people, their body is one of their flaws in their mind, and so this is really important to stress here. Our flaws do not define us. Our past does not define us. There is nothing about your physical appearance, your personality traits, your financial habits, your mistakes, your regrets, or even your resentments that define you. The only thing that defines you is what you do from right now going forward. If there is any flaw that prevents you from pursuing your lifelong dream, then set a goal or a couple of goals to grow into the person who can achieve that lifelong dream. Your pursuit of your dream and the way you treat other people as well as other living creatures is what defines you. So as I said at the beginning about that paradox, love your flaws as they are now because they tell you what your starting point is. Love your dream and don't focus on your flaws, but focus on the destination because your flaws are fueling your way there. I know this is a stretch and a bit hokey, but you change flaws to fuel by getting rid of was. W-A-S. I haven't figured out how you add in U and E, but maybe you have an idea and you can tell me. Reply on this post on my Motivational Devotional Facebook page. You'll probably help someone else too as they let go of was and add in UE. Well, I guess we ended up in a decent place after all. Sometimes I get the best results living by Wu Wei and coast along to make things happen. If you missed the podcast about Wu Wei, you can find it at motivational-devotional.com back on November the 5th. Pretty cool stuff. And remember that as you love your flaws and let your flaws go, all of creation is conspiring in your favor. Trust that the universe always has your back and loves your flaws too. Sandra Bullock once said, "I've made peace with the fact that the things that I thought were weaknesses or flaws were just me. I like them." Thank you for taking the time to listen today. Please help keep this podcast going by following the Motivational Devotional Facebook page, following @Threefold-Way Radio on Twitter, and sharing the written format of today's message from motivational-devotional.com on your social media. I am deeply grateful for your support, and thank you for letting Motivational Devotional be part of your journey. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Motivational Devotional is a production of Threefold Way Radio, LLC.